Is this, the blue shouty power thing, going to be enough to prevent the thingening from becoming a problematic thingy? Hey guys, MasakoX here. One of the original what ifs from this channel is back again for some more adventures, and we are, in a way, basically heading towards its conclusion. Not just yet though, in case you were worried about that, it's not about to end anytime soon. There's still life here yet, but based on the actions of a certain cosmic being, that life might be a little bit shaky right about now. In any case, all of this stemmed from the idea that one character from a Dragon Ball Z special that was, and is, still treasured by the fandom, got the chance to break out from that instance and forge his path throughout the entire story and become an integral part of the crew, as well as ensuring that the future could be fun once again. Today, we are returning to the post-Android world, forged by the notion concerning, what if future Gohan survived? If you're new to the channel, then this what if goes way back, and yet because of the subject matter, it also goes way forward as well. It's kind of weird like that, but anything to do with time travel and Dragon Ball, to be honest, is just weird by default. In this world, future Gohan and Trunks hit upon the idea of checking to see if the lookout was still a thing, and utilizing the Room of Spirit and Time, all of this trying to bring things back to a more level playing field with the androids. And it worked. We doubted the androids would have known about this outpost, and because of that lack of knowledge, and based on the assumption for the very beginning of this what if, the Dragon team was subsequently brought back from the brink, and the time machine was never acquired. But we still had a Goku who was still keen to fight strong guys, and things got a little heated with father and son. In the last part, we were very close to the Goku Black arc happening, but thanks to the lack of a Saiyan visiting Universe 10 and putting Zamasu in his place, the idea for the Zero Mortal plan was put on hold, slowed down for a little while longer. And note, a little while longer in Kai speak is basically maybe half a millennia or so, most likely, so this is something that our heroes won't have to deal with anytime soon. Maybe the people of the Dragon Ball Online world might have to deal with it, but that's just for another literal time. As that happened, Goku got it into his head, despite being told to keep stum to have that Universal Tournament thing happening, he went ahead and told the Omni King about it, and then it's actually happening. Even though his son had specifically told him not to blurt out stuff like that, but this is Goku we're talking about. With that, the duo was split in twain, and the only thing that the Saiyan could do to redeem himself, or at least try to, is by having to, brace yourself for this, share his techniques. And this is where we resume. It's been a few months inside the chamber, and the trio of Goku, Gohan and Trunks have been hard at work practicing and training their utmost techniques, ready for this unnecessary tournament. Gohan was still pretty mad at his dad for jeopardizing potentially multiple realms, but also tarnishing his reputation with the deities. Rightly worrying, Gohan would now be seen by pretty much all concerned outside of Universe 7 as the catalyst for this engagement, and the likes of Champa, he's not going to be as gracious as to actually defend Gohan and not dispel rumours about him. He was still sore about what happened to his universe. Goku felt that teaching these two Kaioken, and then pairing it with their existing blue power, like he was able to do, that would be enough to fully fix their relationship. They don't need to talk their feelings out or communicate, no, just share stuff. But that wasn't the case. It did help, sure, but there's just not enough time to forgive this action. The only thing they can do right now is to prepare for it, come out of the other side, and then deal fully with the aftermath later on. And hey, if there isn't an aftermath to be had and everything is absolutely wiped out from existence, then Goku won't have anything to worry about. As you can imagine, that joke fell flat on his face when the father of Gohan tried to calm the tension on in the first few days of being inside the chamber. I'd have hated to have been there, it would have been very awkward. Thanks to their desire/desperation to learn, Gohan and Trunks are able to grasp the basics of Kaioken in their base forms. That was important for them in order to even use the power. If they couldn't use Kaioken at all, even outside of Blue, then Blue would have been a real struggle for them. Gohan is able to then push Kaioken to its ×5 iteration, and Trunks to about ×3. Despite the lower multipliers than Goku could ever do, the two main characters were already stronger than Goku, so it sort of evens out, so they're almost equal. Having three beings with similar powers and strengths will be helpful in terms of synchronization with the team, but that still doesn't get rid of that resentment forming. One day, Gohan is taking a walk out into the distance of the Room of Spirit and Time, trying to push his physical limits in the world. Now remember, the further you walk away from the dwelling inside the Room of Spirit and Time, the larger the external pressure becomes, and the hotter it gets. It's a real test of endurance, and it's something that Gohan wants to try and master. Walking steadily outwards away from the room in Super Saiyan Blue, he periodically goes into Kaioken to see how the effects work and build up his stamina. He suddenly senses a power approaching. Goku, not transformed, tries to talk to Gohan, but his son is not interested, having heard this before. What more could Goku say? Instead, he's busy focusing on this trial. This goes on for a little while longer, Goku trying to convince his son that he's sorry, but the argument is just getting all the more heated, until Gohan stops. He's hit a wall. Gasping for breath, he realizes that his father had distracted him, and he had gone too far, and didn't anticipate the increase in pressure. He collapses to the floor, and chokes heavily. Now, you might be wondering, why is this just all so sudden, Masako? Surely it would have been gradual. Gohan could have just stopped. Well, remember, the Room of Spirit and Time is not anything like here. Things could just go up in peaks and troughs, suddenly it could get easier, sometimes it can get harder. It's most likely totally unpredictable. It's meant to disorientate you, and that's exactly what's happening here. Goku immediately panics and scoops his son up and proceeds to rapidly fly back towards the domicile, powering up to Super Saiyan in order to speed the transit up even more. When they get inside of the room, Trunks spots the two of them obviously in distress. Now in normal levels of pressure, Gohan is able to splutter himself back to full consciousness, but he is noticeably shaken. That was too close. He had pushed himself way past the limit this time. "It's a good thing I was there, Gohan. You might not have made it back on your own." Goku's trying to say this like a caring father, but at the same time, Gohan knows that it was because of his father's jabbering that he kept going and put himself at risk. But that being said, his father did try to help, and he was there, and he did prevent further damage from forming. It gave Gohan a little bit of clarity here. Now wasn't the time to be getting mad. Goku had done everything that he could to try and fix things, and that gesture should be enough to be acknowledged at least. Pause the tension, and instead channel that frustration and tension into further development of their powers. They had a tournament to win, and this tournament wasn't about arguing. Speaking of the tournament, the time has come. The trio have emerged from the chamber, noticeably more composed than when they entered. In that time also, as one last act of forgiveness, Gohan had been taught the basics of the Genki Dama. Now this wasn't Goku giving away all the crown jewels as it were, but it was enough for Gohan to at least understand how it works, and in case they were in a pinch, Gohan could step in and assist gathering energy, like a backup battery. Now, Kinkai hadn't made the technique to work with two people at once, but I feel like Goku is the adaptable kind. He would experiment with abilities to try and develop them further, to make them more his own. The team lineup for the tournament is pretty similar for the most part, with some obvious exceptions of course. In this timeline, Trunks is in the team, unlike the original, so he's in there, but there are two android-shaped beings missing from the roster. Is Frieza going to be called up? I don't think so. You see, unlike the original story, Goku isn't as confident as before to make decisions like that. He is trying to redeem himself with his son after all, and as you could imagine, Gohan is the team captain, and he knows what to do. Now Goku does float the idea of bringing Frieza in, but Gohan is quick to put that idea to bed, saying that it is far too maverick for what they have in mind. As a backup idea, Goku suggests two people that he met in the afterlife who were pretty strong, for his recollection, and they hailed from Universe 7's different galaxies, so they count? I can imagine you're wondering who we are talking about here. These are two people that I felt like should have been in the tournament to increase diversity from different realms. Paikon and Ulibu. Wait, Masako, these guys are filler characters, and also, they wouldn't have existed in the original story, so there's no legacy or nostalgia here to call upon. Exactly. This is a chance for us to reinvent their introduction into the story proper. Goku had been in the afterlife for a couple of decades at this point before he was revived, and it was inevitable for him to happen into these two beings. Ulibu being particularly noteworthy. He had been in the other world for tens of thousands of years training, and therefore he would have been known by almost every single fighter in that dimension, certainly the competitive ones. Goku and he fighting each other, is a given. King Kai very much likes this idea of including him. Before Goku came along, Ulibu was his greatest student, so it was nice to see this former pupil get some recognition. Now that's not me making this up either, this is something that has been mentioned in the series. Granted, it was a little bit of filler here and there, but it was said. And as for Paikon, just look at him. He was mega in terms of power, so Goku would have been attracted to him like a space fly to space dung. Gohan is more receptive to this idea, since these guys got to keep their bodies and they weren't in a hiffle. Later that day, Gohan and Goku head to Barba's place after heading to King Yama's earlier to request a pass for Ulibu and Paikon to have a day's living granted to them in order to help out Team Universe 7 and maintain the safety of the universe. They understandably omit the part where Goku was the one responsible for putting it at risk in the first place, obviously. When Barba returns, she is flanked by two beings of great power and good nature. Ulibu is particularly overwhelmed with being in the living world again after nearly 10,000 years. My goodness, it has been a while since I breathed air like this. This all feels so alien to me now. Paikon is a little more stoic than his colleague, but he's still very grateful that Goku thought of them when it comes to beings who were very strong in this universe. And that power is called into action rather quickly. The Mercs of Universe 9 show up like they do in the original story, but with 4 very powerful people going against them, this encounter is incredibly brief, even with the power of Sidra's Ki fueling them. Now with a full roster, the team arrive in the world of Void, looking very confused. This world is very unlike most realms that they had visited before, but Paikon and Ulibu, they're not exactly unsettled by this surreal domain. Paikon turns to Gohan and gives his thoughts. I've seen stranger. In fact, this is quite sedate when it comes to the stuff the higher-ups cook up. Ulibu's intrigue is heightened, seeing all these strange fighters that are slowly being transported to this arena. He politely asks Whis for some background knowledge about this tournament as well as the people competing, and the angel is more than happy to oblige for Ulibu. My, aren't you a polite one? I like you. With all the teams assembled, the GP descends and looks to them all, reiterating the rules of engagement for the contest, looking quite often at Gohan with a slight smile, almost like he is acknowledging his idea. He's looking very sheepish and giving off a very apprehensive vibe, to which the other deities have noticed. He is on the back foot. The contest begins, and Team Universe 7 employ the strategy of circling the center of the arena. Since Gohan here is far more respected and commanding than in the original, the team are more likely to adhere to this idea. That is except for Vegeta and even Paikon. Vegeta just slips away without saying a word and proceeds to fight the other worlds, with Paikon at least giving a reason for why he is splitting off. I didn't sign up for 24 hours of living just to spend it standing around doing nothing. I mean, he's not wrong, to be fair. Goku wants to split as well, but since he is on very thin ice with Gohan, and by proxy Trunks, he stays put. For about a minute, Gohan can sense his father's desire to take flight, and just sighs. Just go, Dad. The central column is now down to 7, but the plan seems to hold steady for a little while, with the team working quite closely together, able to spot any nefarious traps coming their way. Meanwhile, Goku and Vegeta are busy taking out the likes of Universe 9, which are still sadly the first universe to be cast out of existence, since, despite Basil's impeccably toned legs, they are still lacking when it comes to squaring up against the likes of Goku and Vegeta. Paikon is busy too, him dispatching the likes of Diem and Shosa in quick succession, and then later Majora, basically taking Krillin's outs since he is currently in the middle of the arena, fending off people who are trying to get them. And as for Frost, he tries to get the jump on Paikon like he did with Krillin, thinking that he's an easy takedown, and also because he's never met him before. He wasn't part of Team Universe 7 in their little contest, so he can't be that strong, right? No. Frost is surprised with Paikon grabbing his throat and gazing at him coldly. Is that your idea of surprising me? Well, it worked, but not in the way you hoped for. With a flick of his wrist, he throws Frost out of the ring, propelled by a strong ki blast that the Iceling is unable to get himself free of. He is out, and Champa is not happy about that. We rejoin the central command post and the gang are getting restless. It may be working that they are in the safest position, but Ulibu is getting a little bit confused. Gohan, my friend, forgive me, but might I say something? Gohan, surprised by this politeness, just as much as Whis was, grants this. Might this tournament end sooner if we act first, instead of us just standing here? It has worked so far, but How long can that last? Gohan thinks about this for a moment. He really did not want to be part of this tournament right from the get-go, and this path of least resistance that they were doing right now was something that he wanted to carry through to the very end of the tournament, with him the victor through just surviving, being in the ring. But Halibu was right. They needed to end the contest early. He sighs. Okay, if any of you guys want to break off too, go ahead. The contingent slowly split away, leaving only Piccolo, Gohan, and Trunks standing together. I won't leave your side. You can count on me, Gohan. Gohan looks stunned to see this loyalty, but a Namekian voice breaks the moment. Trunks, go and help the others. I'll stay here with Gohan. You'll be more useful out there instead of clinging to your master's leg. A little harsh, but accurate. Trunks heads out into the battlefield with Gohan holding fast to his convictions with Piccolo there, acting as his personal bodyguard. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you guys think? Will Gohan hold to his beliefs and not lift a finger due to his principles? Will the inclusion of the Lebu and Pikkon reap benefits for us? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!